Hey guys, it's us again. Get Slydewayz with me, Barry Clapp. We've got a good show for you lined up tonight. Man, you might have to bear with me a little bit. I've got to kind of do this show with a mint in my mouth here. I'm got a scratchy throat. I've been sick for about 2 weeks, so I'm just now back among the living here. So I'm trying to not breathe all over my guest over here today. But he's probably got the inside track to some good medicine, so he'll be all right. Real quick, like, share, follow, all that good stuff. SlydeFactory on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, all that good stuff. Let's try to grow this audience. We're doing pretty good. We need some more help. So tell everybody no. Share this thing up. Share it up there for some people. Tell them what a good storyteller we are and all the funny stuff we talk about on here. So if they like any kind of cars, drifting, racing, any of that good stuff, that we kind of hit on all of it. So help us out. Help us grow the old audience. Give us a shout. And let's get this thing rolling a little bit better. Little housekeeping. We are, a week and a half away from our first event this year. NCM, Bluegrass Bash. We, due to lack of interest, we had to cram the HPDE section of it. We did not have but one car signed up. So, and I think it's kind of funny that as soon as I put that up there, I got several little sad emojis, people popping up. Oh, I'm so sad that we're not going to. Well, you should have registered, okay? You had 2 weeks. Actually, you had 2 months.
Yeah, it was a long time.
You had 2 months to register. You should have registered. So you didn't, so you missed out. It would have been the cheapest road course time, seat time that you would ever be able to have at that track. Because most HPDEs started about $400 up there, and this one was $250. So hate that for you. It's really sad. But what that did was open it up. So when I called the racetrack to say, I don't think we're going to do that section of the course, and it's off season, and they made me a really good deal to rent the place. So the little girl was like, well, I guess we could just open the whole thing up to drifting.
I like her already.
I said, really? Like that. So we're going to be seeking a few volunteer track workers, because the west course is about 9 turns, and of course the east course is where we'll be drifting anyway. So a couple of people have mentioned maybe having 2 different places to start, some kind of deal where we can just hot lap the whole track. So we're just going to have to figure that out when we get there. We're not exactly sure what that looks like yet. We've never done that before, but I know that's popular at Polecat. So I've never been allowed to come to the Polecat drifting deal, so I don't know how it works. So somebody that's been there before is going to have to show me. But I'm cool with it. I think we could give it a shot. Tonight on Get Slydewayz with Barry Clapp, we have the Andy Hardy in the house.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's
What's
really
up,
good to
man?
be here.
I'm glad you could come. I appreciate it. I know it's a long drive to come down here.
It is. Luckily, I slid through traffic pretty.
You were like,
easily.
I'm not going to be there till like 5:30, and he's like knocking on our door at 5:09. I'm like, okay, all right. Might have broken a traffic violation or two.
I would never. Just Nashville traffic was better than expected. I always drive exactly the speed limit.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you didn't do anything out of the ordinary to get here.
That's right.
One other little note, schedule-wise, we did finally kind of finalize what we're going to be able to do at the Nashville Superspeedway this year. Unfortunately, due to their rising costs, we're going to do our Halloween show at the end of the year, and that's going to be it. We've been able to keep the costs under control over the last 3 or 4 years, but they've just been threatening to raise them, and they've been creeping them up on us every year. And so this year it just got so expensive that I finally just said, well, I'm just going to do the one then. And honestly, the guy that I talked to out there was a little bit shocked, because he thought that he could go ahead and knock us down for 5 events like we usually do. But it just doesn't make sense anymore to rent that track for that much money and try to host an event. It's too stressful, and it's just too close, and we've lost money out there before. The SlydeFactory Halloween party is the only one that really clears anymore.
Right.
Because everybody likes the costume thing and the trunk or treat and all that. So you'll just have to wait for Slush and Import Alliance, and I think there's another guy coming in with a show that's going to have some drifting. So there will still be 3 or 4 or 5 shows here in Nashville.
Is Tuner Fest going out there? Is that what it is?
No, it's not Tuner Fest. I'll have to look it up and see what it is. The guy called me last year. What was that show? Guy called me last year wanting to kind of piggyback on our Halloween party, and he does a bunch of big shows all up and down the East Coast. It was similar to like what the new Nopi thing is, but it was a different guy, and I actually tried to work with him on that and see if he would want to do it, and at the last minute it just wasn't going to work. So I think honestly the track got wind of it, and they were already trying to up the rent because they knew somebody else was coming in and there was going to be a bigger crowd, so they could make a little more money off of us and whatnot. So I just said, heck with it, let's just can it. And
I try to respect how much it takes to run a track and keep it going, and I talk about all the time about what it actually takes to put on an event and the cost of the track and the cost of the host.
Yeah.
But sometimes the track's just trying to beat you over the head, and you got to know when to recognize it. And
the Super Speedway went corporate about 4 years ago. They got bought out by Speedway Motors that owns 10 of the the most famous racetracks in the world. They own Circuit of the Americas, and they own Atlanta, and they own Charlotte, and they own Bristol, and those are big tracks, man. And I get it that those are also in really big markets, but they're trying to raise it up to where it's like a Charlotte, and this ain't Charlotte.
Well, it's I've got mixed emotions about it because they have done a lot of good for the track. I go out there for a lot of NASCAR races.
Oh, and it's a blast. I do too.
It was a lot of fun. They did One Lap of America was there last year, and that was really cool. I got to see a lot of. Yeah. I'm a huge Randy Popes fan, so watching him out there just ripping, it was really cool. I was really glad he wasn't in a Porsche like everybody else. But they've done a lot of good, but when a track starts doing those sorts of things, it makes it hard for the local guys to host events.
Yeah. And they say that they want to keep the grassroots thing going, and I get that, but we're just so grassroots, I guess. Yes. I just said, I appreciate that. I just can't afford it anymore. It's just not, when your little events only gross $12,000 to $15,000, you can't spend 13 of it on rent.
No,
you just can't. You can't do it. So that's kind of where we are with Super Speedway. The bigger shows will still be coming. They'll still be drifting out there. We're going to back off and just concentrate on doing the Halloween party at the end of the year every year and making it as big as we can make it.
The Halloween bash is my favorite anyways.
Dude, it's just fun to dress up, everybody dresses in costume.
I really like that. I don't know if you even realize it was me, but 2 years ago, I didn't have any of my cars. I just sold the cop car.
Yeah.
My Newsy wasn't done.
Oh.
And so I just dressed as the Grim Reaper.
And just walked
stood
around
at the entrance to the track for like 3 hours, didn't talk to anybody. I got out of the track in costume and just stood there with my scythe.
That's awesome. So you doing that, and then Micah, that works for me, my nephew, walked around as Michael Myers all day with the coveralls and the knife and just looking at people real slow and all that. I love that stuff. It's a loss.
I had a good time.
Our buddy JB from down in Atlanta that autocrosses with us was Beetlejuice, He walked around with the fuzzy hair and the striped coat on all day over there at the autocross.
It's a blast.
He's a mess anyway. Yeah, it's just
Plus
cool.
the high-speed entry competition.
Yeah.
That is a coveted title amongst us local drifters.
That's right.
And to be
Somebody
frank,
needs to take it away
we're all
from
sick of Hooman.
Hooman, that's right. Everybody needs to take it away from
I thought
Hooman.
Gavin was going to get him this year. I know it was getting close, but, just couldn't quite pull it off. I thought I had a good shot, too, and then I immediately blew the clutch in my car.
Oh, dang.
Mostly my fault. It wasn't any component's fault. That's my second event in a right-hand drive car.
Oh, yeah.
And that thing makes some power. Yeah. And I did a second to fifth shift, and clutch said, I'm out of here, dude.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How weird. That's wild. I bet that Ute is crazy to drive.
It's so I'm coming to terms with it.
Mm-hmm.
It is the way I described it to my wife earlier is, my Z is kind of a scalpel now that we've got it set up with all the good parts, and we went through and dialed it in. And we've spent a lot of time on the Ute too, and got it as good as we know to get it, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's still more of a sledgehammer.
Mm.
Like, it just makes a ton of power, and you just flat out raw dog, just smacking it and throw it.
I love it.
In fact, last weekend, I was down at Nopi.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to check it out. A lot of really good drivers out there. And we got the distinct honor of being one of the few drift competitions to ever be hosted on a lake. Cause
I saw that. I saw that it just poured the rain.
It was rough out there. And I showed up cocky.
Yeah.
I was like, the Ute's real long. It's going to be stable in the rain. Like, I've got a real shot today. And I went out my first lap, and I went to initiate, and the car kind of started to come around and just straight out right into a barriers. I took out a ton of barriers.
Oh, gosh.
We went back to the pits and made some changes, and ultimately I had to completely change my driving style. But eventually, towards the end of the day, which was a little too late, it came around. But and we won our first battle through sheer luck. I told the guy I battled, I was like, that was a rough deal. He had 2 more consistent laps than I did, but he zeroed twice. But outdrove me.
Wow!
But I didn't zero twice.
Yeah.
I zeroed in my chase.
Yeah.
So I got the win, and then I went up against Jonathan Nearin and zeroed in my chase. But then I threw down a really good lead run that I was really proud of, and we kind of walked away looking at the progress and what we'd learned that day in the car, both for me driving and the setup changes we made. And it was a really good weekend for us, even though we didn't go near as far as we had hoped.
Yeah. But that's cool, though. But, I mean, with a brand-new car, though, it's going to take a minute to get used to that, to be able to drive that thing like you do your Z.
Yeah. The thing I run into, at least for me personally, is the car has a lot of promenades. Robbins drove it in Australia and won everything over there. That's the car, and then brought it over here and obviously built his new one. And then Aaron Spiegel had it and did a lot of damage in it. It was pretty competitive in it in a lot of ways. And so
it's pretty cool.
Anytime the car is not performing well, whether it's the car or the driver, it reflects really negatively on the driver.
Sure.
Because the car is very capable.
Gotcha.
It's just very different from what I'm used to, and I'm adjusting. And realistically, when it comes to competition driving, I'm still pretty inexperienced. I don't have a lot under my belt as far as competitions are concerned, so I'm still coming up to speed.
Well, and I was going to say that thing's about twice as long as your Z. I mean, and you're used to about sitting on the back tires, and you're way up in the middle of that car.
Yeah,
that has to feel different.
It does. It feels really different. And the first good lap I did at Nopi, and I say good, was I literally just took out all the barriers in every zone. But I did it, the way you want to, with the rear end, just kind of brushing them off. I got the first zone really hard. I may have turned one barrier into... it may now resemble shredded cheese.
Nice.
I destroyed it. I'm really sorry to the guys down there.
Lovely.
I was not nice to the barriers, and I'm sorry. But we got it together towards the end of the day, learned a lot, had a really good time. I'm really excited to see what Nopi brings in the future. It was kind of a raw deal for bringing back the event for the first time.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about it. Like that I was tangled up in that fake Nopi guy.
Yeah.
That tried to screw us all and did screw me pretty good. He cost me a bunch of money. And he ended up just being a lying sack of crap. And so Sam, the new guy, I tried to reach out to him, but he already had his own regular deal set up, because I would have loved to have been part of that.
Yeah.
But it's all good as long as it works, because the Nopi name, was important to me when I was young.
It means a lot to a lot of people who are, especially some of us who are middle-aged, we'll say.
I used to go drive at the ones in Atlanta. I drove at the last 2 that were at the drag strip out there, Atlanta Dragway. I drove at the last 2 that were there with my first cars that I built, a long time ago. So I want Nopi to be successful, and I hope it's able to do it. So what was it like? What was the turnout like?
So the turnout...
I guess the rain killed it, though.
The rain really killed it, but for me, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, they had all the pieces in place. They had base wars. They had hydraulic, they had the hydraulic competitions. They had a really good car show. I saw a Silica GT4C there, which is like, I don't know that I've ever seen one not in a museum.
No kidding.
So, I mean, there was some cool cars in the show. The actual event itself was pretty well organized. I've got a lot of hope for it, especially with that being like a first event back and everybody kind of getting their feet under them, getting their feet wet, literally.
Literally. Yeah.
I've got a lot of hope, and I'd love to see it grow.
Now, who was it ran the drifting section of that? I remember seeing the name, but I didn't recognize it.
I know I feel really terrible because it's a person I know and I've had so many conversations with, but I cannot remember their name right now. But they did a really good job.
They actually sent me a message to come and drive.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was cool that they at least thought of me like that, but I don't have cage in the vet, you know.
Yeah.
And the motor's down anyway. I couldn't have done it if I wanted to. So
I had to petition to get in. The fun thing about just about every sanctioning body for competition, one of the first I think it's line 1.2 of every rule book is only sedans, coupes, or convertibles can come in. So
what about my truck?
Yeah, I've had this. So, they normally chuckle and are like, yeah, of course you can come. Yeah, but
that's funny.
I'd hate to show up somewhere.
Yeah,
and
you got to at least make sure, don't you?
Yeah.
You'd be like rolling in there with your minivan or whatever. One of those little. That'd be cool. Like you see them in the RC drifting where they've got the little van bodies on them, and
that's a dream of mine is to have like a drift minivan that I can just load up full of people and
like a drift Honda. What is it? Honda Pilot or
the Odyssey?
No, the Odyssey. A drift Honda Odyssey.
That'd
be cool.
That's a dream. We talked about an Astro van at one time, and we were going to do it up like an ambulance. I worked EMS.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the reason we were sold on an Astro van for so long is that KBD makes a body kit for it.
Really?
Like that was the deciding factor.
And what's the style that you would do it with? You'd put the big wing on the back of it and the long exhaust pipes and the funky looking nose sticking out the front.
I think
like they do.
I would. Probably, and I know a lot of people aren't probably not going to know. I would probably mimic the Cannonball ambulance.
Oh,
I would
yeah,
wrap
absolutely.
it like that, like perfectly. But it'd have to have the A-team wing, I'd add a little extra flair, but
yeah, the Cannonball run.
Yeah,
I'm in.
That's how it would have to be.
Who
for
would
me.
be your Captain Chaos though? Burt Reynolds there. JJ McClure.
There are a lot of candidates for that. I hang out with a rowdy bunch.
I love it.
Who would be?
We might have to put that together. Maybe your guy that runs your start line for you could be your Captain
Taco.
Chaos.
Taco would be a good option. I could always bring my buddy Thomas West. He specializes in chaos.
Oh gosh, yeah, he'd be a good one too. That'd be all right.
There's a couple of people who come to mind immediately.
I love it.
Maybe I'll just make Hooman do it.
We should make Hooman do something like that. He likes all the attention he can get with his little walk around asking questions and stuff. We need to put him in a Captain Chaos cape and let him go out there and do interviews. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
What we really should do is we've been talking. The actual guy who owns the Ute is Kelly Metzmaker. He's from Other Guys Racing.
Okay.
He's letting me drive it for this year and probably next year.
Well, what a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. He's doing a lot for my program and helping me out. I tell everybody all the time I get more support than I deserve, but I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, why would you?
And he wants to take the Ute on sick week.
Oh.
So he's going to do the 666, or what was the 666. I guess they're moving it this year. And I was like, well, I'm going to take my Z then, and I'll go do sick week in my Z. And I've been trying to sucker everybody into. I was like, let's have a drift class at sick week. I was like, Tom Bailey don't care. Like he's down for it. He just wants to see a bunch of people go have fun.
Yeah.
And that's a less, like the one they do in the fall is less hardcore about the times. It's more about the drive.
I see.
So trying to talk, but a drift ambulance would be perfect for that. It would be ideal.
I'd be in. That'd be good for me. Guys, that's section number 1 of tonight's show. So we're going to take a little break here. I'm going to prop another mint probably. I'm starting to get scratchy. It's wonder I'm not coughing all over everybody here. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share. Tell everybody that they're missing a good show tonight and join us here. And if you've got any comments, put them in the comment section. Mr. Jimmy will read them to us here in a minute, and we'll talk about whatever you want to. But right now, we're going to take a little short break. Get Slydewayz with me, Barry Clapp. We'll be right back. Hey guys, listen, if you need a livery on your race car or a wrap done on your commercial vehicle, give the guys down at Graphic Effects in Murfreesboro a call, 615-896-4301. They are the best in the business at what they do. If you need a mural done inside your business or outside on a brick wall even, they can do it. If you need a logo on your garage floor, they can do it. They specialize in commercial wraps, but they can also do the single color stuff, cool looking stripes, anything else you can think of. If you need a banner, if you just need stickers, if you need something cool for your race car, give these guys a call. Graphic Effects down in Murfreesboro, 615-896-4301. Check them out.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Finch with Finch Performance, and we're just going to take a quick little peek around the shop here to see some of the different things that we work on around here. So first up, we've got some chassis in production. We've got a small backlog right now, but we're knocking out some 67 to 72 C10 stuff. We've got a really cool 67 crew cab Chevy here, C10. We've made a custom one-off Apex Predator chassis with long arm suspension all the way around. This thing's going to be pretty badass. 56 F100 with a Coyote 10-speed. Just all we got left here is really getting the supercharger installed, finishing up the wiring and a little bit of the fuel system, get it fired off. And then, of course, we're back on our Ferrari 308 custom project here with the LT5 engine and a Graziano 6-speed transaxle. So this thing is going to be full kill, badass. And that's just some of the things we do here. So we don't just build trucks. We build a lot of everything. Main thing is we have a good time, because that's what it's about.
Hey guys, we're back. Get Slydewayz with me, Barry Clapp. I knew it wasn't going to last. I've been sick as a dog for like the last week and a half, so I'm trying to get through this without coughing and hacking all over everybody. This will be my mic shield. Nobody else is allowed to use it, so we won't spread any germs or anything. We got Andy Hardy in the house.
What's going on, guys?
And been talking about, drifting and utes and barriers. And you said Human had a comment from the peanut gallery over here. What was it?
Oh, okay, so a little bit of backstory.
Okay.
So I spotted for Human last year. It was my first year traveling around with him, and it was a blast. I've already signed up to do it this year,
nice.
And as long as Human will have me, I'm going to continue to do it.
Cool.
I love it. But last year, New Jersey, I was spotting for him, and they had did their first run. Human had led and was in the chase, and the lead car hit a cone, which is a restart in FD. And so the
like where? Like what are you talking
on
about?
the start, hit a cone on the start line.
Oh, pulling out where they have
in the
to
gate.
do,
Yeah,
gotcha. Hit a cone in the gate. Gotcha.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of a delay in the restart light, and they had made it past it before the light started flashing.
Oh.
And but they're getting after it. Human is all over this guy, and I typically don't try and interrupt in the middle of a lap. So I didn't, and they did a whole lap and had to do it again. Well, you got the cars on the absolute edge of grip.
Sure.
And if you're doing it right, you get 2 laps out of a tire.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that the team I'm a part of does it right. Human's a phenomenal driver, and he's a great crew chief. We've got a really good team all the way around. And we got 2 laps out of a set of tires. And Human had to run 3. And also had to warm up his tires twice because the other guy had called a 5. So we ran the tires to the ragged edge, and essentially halfway through the third outer zone, Human started throwing sparks because he was on wire and had no more tire.
Wow.
So if a driver you're spotting for is doing a lap and the restart light's going off, let them know. Shut it down.
Let them know to stop.
Yeah.
Save the rubber. Save the rubbers.
That was a big mistake that I will probably live down, obviously, anytime soon. I should have told him to shut it down, but I didn't want to distract him in a lap.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit intrigued about the whole spotter thing because whether you know or not, I used to race round track, and we used spotters in the round track. And that was to tell you, I know what that's all about. I've never really understood what a drift spotter does. What do you tell Human? What is your job as the spotter of a drift car?
So first off, I'm making it up. I don't really know.
Sure.
But everybody in FD is really helpful, even when you're new, even at that level of competition. And the big thing is in practice, we monitor several different variables in the car. So in practice, we're really focused on our car, especially the whole team. I'm starting to look at lap times of everybody else and see where we are, and watch initiations of other people and taking notes on that, seeing where everyone's strength and weakness is. And then as my driver gets paired up with them to compete or even in practice to chase, I say, the biggest thing is, hey, this is how they're initiating. That is the number one thing that helps. Are they initiating on a handbrake? Are they doing a big flick in? Are they doing a straight line?
I see.
It really helps set your driver up in the chase to suck up into the pocket and get in tandem as soon as possible. The other thing you should do is, if there's a restart, you should let them know.
If the light is flashing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should let them know. And, just general support. Human operates much better if you play his song before he does his lap. So,
okay.
I always play that over the radio before he does his lap. It has gotten me some looks in the spotters tower more than once.
So what is Human's song?
It's...
Because I gotta admit, there's some music playing in my head, but it's probably not correct.
It is an old school rap song. It's "Lay 'Em Down,"
nice.
And I cannot remember the artist.
Who is it, Human? Tell us what.
Yeah, let us know in the chat, man. I'm sorry, I forgot. I think most drivers can relate to that, though. Like most of us, if we hear a good song, it pumps us up.
Ever since I was a kid, I drive better with good music on.
Better's relative term, I suspect, but yes.
I love that. That's cool. That's cool to me because I've driven, and then I've spotted round track, and you're a lot more busy spotting for round track than I would assume you are for. Like you probably don't say much during a run.
No, different drivers want different things. I've spotted for a couple of local guys in competition. Human, obviously, I've spotted for Rome Charpentier. And the general consensus is, shut the hell up and don't distract me.
Shut up while I'm driving.
Yeah, and I can relate. I like to be focused when I'm driving. I don't like any outside distractions. So I really try not to, which was my trepidation with going, hey, the light's flashing.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, and immediately after, I was like, I should have said something.
Yeah, right. I had this one guy I was spotting for years ago, and he was a relatively new driver, so I was really trying to help him. And he was struggling with the line. It was at the fairgrounds on the big track, and I found myself driving the car for him. I'd be talking to him down the straightaway. I'd be talking to him in the middle of the corner. I'd be talking to him down the other straightaway. I'd be talking to him in the middle of the corner on the other end of the track, basically telling him where to put the left side tires. I was literally trying to drive that car for him by telling him where to be and how to go and all of that stuff. Not to mention, somebody's trying to look underneath you, this, that, and the other. You're clear, you're not clear, that kind of stuff. Because in that car, you're so blind, you can't see anything but straight out the windshield. The full contained seats are so much bigger in that kind of deal that you can't see anything out the right side of the car at all. And then, so if somebody tries to pass you on the right, on the outside, you can't tell if they're there or not. You try to listen to the harmonics of the motor against yours, because it'll do that. It'll wah, 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 when they're like that kind of thing when they're getting close or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
But you can't tell exactly where they are. So somebody gets on your outside, you got to be able to tell the guy where they are so that he don't swing wide on the corner and wad everybody up, So.
Yeah, I just watched, I guess it was yesterday, I watched old Cleater McSkeeter's video. He did the Daytona 500 in ARCA.
Ran the ARCA race, yeah.
And they had some in-car where you could hear his spotter, and it was
constant. Never shut up.
It was constant. My thought was, man, that sounds really tiresome to, talk that much for a long race like Daytona. Even the ARCA series is, 50 laps?
Yeah, the ARCA series was 70 laps, so it's 150 miles, I think.
That's a while. You're talking a while.
The truck race is 200 miles. The Xfinity race is 250 miles or 300 miles now, and then the Cup race is 500
I really
miles.
liked watching the in-car and watching the effect of the winds from the other car push. You could see when they'd get close and get up under them and get them loose. You could visual. It was a very clear visual, and I've always kind of paid attention to NASCAR, but never been super into it. But
golly,
watching that was very engaging. Watching the way that everything was, it really gives you you realize how much more is going on than you understand.
Yeah.
There is so much going on at any given point.
There's so many people that think it's so easy just to drive in a circle.
It is not.
They got no idea. I ran a race out here at the fairgrounds one time, and it was 125 laps. And I wouldn't have been surprised if my tongue was slapping against the quarter glass coming out the window. I was wore slap out. And it took 45 minutes to run that race. I don't know how them guys do it for 4 hours.
They, I have some insight on the medical side of NASCAR.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my buddies work the NASCAR races here in Nashville. And I've heard several stories. They literally physically have to pull those drivers out of the cars because they're too weak, and they take them straight to the care center, start a bag, start running out. Yeah. It is immediate and you can hear they talk on the radio. They're like, hey, get me a bag ready.
Yeah.
I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
So
there's been reports of drivers losing as much as 11 or 12 pounds driving one race because it's so hot in there.
It's an incredible feat of endurance to me. Yeah. I mean, there's several forms of racing where I just we can kind of get away with being fat and drifting. Yeah. We can get away with it. Yeah. But Formula One, NASCAR,
no way.
Any of the desert racing stuff.
Yeah.
You better be in shape.
Ask Finch about that. Yeah.
You better be in shape. Yeah, Finch, I guess, would know.
It beats the crap out of him. He's sore as he can be, but when he's done.
I love the watch. I'm just a junkie for motorsports. It doesn't really matter what it is. I even I'm a pretty avid watcher of the Red Bull Aero races. I don't care if it's going fast. If it's racing, I'm into it.
I'm into, man. I'd race shopping carts out here in the parking lot if you want to.
Yeah,
let's go over to Kroger and steal us a couple.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm telling you, man. I used to run, and it was tiresome just on our level. And I ran trucks. I didn't even run late models, and our longest race was usually 40 laps. And then we ran a 75 lapper one time, and I thought I was going to die. And then the end of the year, we ran 125 laps. And I just thought, dude, I can remember going down the back stretch and looking at the scoreboard and thinking, damn, 60 laps to go. What am I going to do?
You just gotta go. You gotta stop looking at the scoreboard and just go.
And the level of concentration it takes to keep that thing going as fast as it will go. People don't understand that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a difference between doing a lap and doing a good lap. There's a big difference between doing a lap and a good lap.
Between just driving and driving really fast, right on the edge all the time.
Yeah.
It takes 100% focus. And them guys that can do that for that long, that's a special person. I can't do it that long. There ain't no way. Like if I was Cleed and I had his money, I would love to run a Daytona ARCA race. I would totally do that. I don't have any judgment against that guy for doing that. There's a lot of people that have been fussing about, all the money he's got, he ought to be able to. Yeah, he could. And that's great. I'm glad he can. If I had the money, I'd be doing it.
Absolutely. I think realistically, when it comes to stuff like that, we have seen plenty of people with money go into motorsport and just absolutely fail.
Oh, yeah.
But everything that Cletus has tried, he's been very competent at. He's not been bad. He didn't do bad in that ARCA race.
So I'll tell you something about. I watched Cletus really, really close, because even though I like that he did it, I'm very critical about people like that, because I've been a NASCAR fan for so long and I've driven myself.
Yeah,
I'm very critical when somebody steps in to say they can do it, and I want them to fail. I want them to not be able to do it the first time they do it, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? I don't want them to step in and go, well, that was easy, that's no big deal, because I believe NASCAR racing is very difficult.
I agree.
I believe any kind of round track racing is very difficult. And so the first accident that he missed, when he got turned coming out of 4, and he spun toward the inside wall, but then back away from the inside wall. That move right there is all you need to know about the guy's ability to control a race car, because there were 3 of those in the truck race, my friend Clay Greenfield included. There was 3 or 4 of those in the Xfinity race. There were several of them in the ARCA race that came out of Ford, couldn't correct the car, and drove it straight into that fence on the inside and tore it all to pieces. And he didn't do that.
He's a driver.
Yeah. He was able to not do that. And I just thought that was big. Now, the one wreck that he did get in, I thought maybe he wasn't exactly paying attention as much as he should have been.
I watched an interview afterwards, and he was very clear. He was like, the car was going down track. I started to go up. And but if you listen, in his video, his spotter's talking to him, and his spotter's like, hey, back up. She's loose, man. She's finna come around.
Yeah.
And he was creating distance, and it just, like he said, I 100% agree with him. It was inexperience.
Yeah.
That not.
That's right.
There's nothing that replaces experience in anything you do, whether it's racing or a skill, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Nothing replaces experience, and
That's
that was a classic case of inexperience.
Yeah. First time he'd been in that situation.
Yeah.
And he missed it. That's okay. He won't miss the next one, I bet. I missed a couple the first time I got in situations like that and wadded some stuff up. So
I will go on record as saying, as cool as NASCAR is, and as much as I like it, it's better in the dirt.
Yeah.
Dirt track racing is just cooler to me.
I bet. I got some good friends in Alabama that love the dirt track race.
I'm a big fan of it. almost every Saturday I work as a medic.
I was going to say you're at Clarksville all the time. Have you climbed in a couple of dirt cars?
I've had a couple of opportunities to do some laps.
Yeah.
And I've went out in one heat race and had
kidding.
a little bit of fun. I need seat time before I really jumped into one of those. And, not a lot of people know this, but I'm all in on drifting. I guess it's been about 6 months ago. I left EMS.
I did not know that.
I did. I left EMS because it was interfering with my race schedule.
Wow.
So I've been joking with my wife, telling her this is my midlife crisis. Buckle up. So I left EMS, and I've had a few jobs since then. Just kind of like I'm in a lucky position. I've got several different skills.
Sure.
And I'm really dedicated to motorsport right now, which I know is a fool's errand. There's no doubt in my mind that it's dumb. But what I tell everybody is exactly what I told my chief when I quit. If I don't take this shot, it'll be my biggest fear. Because my biggest fear is being Uncle Rico and talking about what could have been.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be that guy.
I love it.
I'm shoot my shot, and I talked to the boss lady, and she was like, "Let's go for it." And
if you've got her support,
that's
more
all that
power
matters
to you, man.
I may end up right back at EMS and just driving fun events at any point. But for right now, I've been granted the freedom to pursue driving on as high a level as I possibly can, and I'm gonna try and make the most of it.
I love that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I got a really good friend that's a Murfreesboro city cop. Did the same thing 3 or 4 years ago. He had been playing around, helping some different race teams, trying to learn about it, this, that, and the other. He and his wife talked about it. He was like, you know what, I'm in a cop so long, I just want to try something different. And he didn't burn the bridge.
No.
Just in case, But he left the police force and went and spent some time on a Trans Am team, spent some time on a NASCAR team, worked in the shop, tried to learn this, that, and the other, and did it for I feel like a season or two, and it kind of worked out and kind of didn't, but he was able to get satisfied, I guess, and he's back on the police force.
Yeah.
He gave it a shot. I got a lot of respect for that.
I'm very clear. My job in EMS was very rewarding. I liked it. I'd put a lot of time in, and I did it for 13 years.
Yeah, wow.
But the thing is, I'd done EMS for 13 years.
Yeah.
Before I joined the Navy, I was a firefighter.
Wow.
That's all I'd really ever known, and it just felt like a good opportunity to go do something else for a little bit. And so far, I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Pennies are tight, but
sure.
But that we knew that going in, it was going to be that way. And like I've said it before, and I'll say it, I got more support than any amateur driver deserves.
I love it.
And I've got a bunch of good people and good companies that are backing me this year.
Nice.
Really making me, my season is fuller than it's ever been. And it's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with all the support I'm getting.
Nice. Good for you, man. That's awesome. That's good to hear. I got a lot of respect for that. I think that's really cool. We're going to take another little short break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Get Slydewayz with Barry Clapp and Andy Hardy. We'll be right back.
Tom's.
Hey guys, listen, if you need a livery on your race car or a wrap done on your commercial vehicle, give the guys down at Graphic Effects in Murfreesboro a call, 615-896-4301. They are the best in the business at what they do. If you need a mural done inside your business or outside on a brick wall even, they can do it. If you need a logo on your garage floor, they can do it. They specialize in commercial wraps, but they can also do the single color stuff, cool looking stripes, anything else you can think of. If you need a banner, if you just need stickers, if you need something cool for your race car, give these guys a call. Graphic Effects down in Murfreesboro, 615-896-4301. Check them out.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Finch with Finch Performance, and we're just going to take a quick little peek around the shop here to see some of the different things that we work on around here. So first up, we've got some chassis in production. We've got a small backlog right now, but we're knocking out some 67 to 72 C10 stuff. We've got a really cool 67 crew cab Chevy here, C10. We've made a custom one-off Apex Predator chassis with long arm suspension all the way around. This thing's going to be pretty badass. 56 F100 with the Coyote 10-speed. Just all we got left here is really getting the supercharger installed, finishing up the wiring and a little bit of the fuel system, get it fired off. And then, of course, we're back on our Ferrari 308 custom project here with the LT5 engine and a Graziano 6-speed transaxle. So this thing is going to be full kill, badass. And that's just some of the things we do here. So we don't just build trucks. We build a lot of everything. Main thing is we have a good time, because that's what it's about.
All right, guys, welcome back. It's going pretty good tonight, Andy. We're having a good time here, ain't we?
A real good time. My only complaint, time is going too fast. I could do this for a while.
Out here getting Slydewayz.
That's right.
I just got a message from Edward Angel about some kind of little car meet at, I guess, Bumpus Harley-Davidson over here in a few days, wanting to know if I want to come cut some donuts. I said, sure. Tell me when it is.
Every opportunity we get.
I'm not going to miss that. Plus, it's like 100 yards from my shop right here. So, yeah, I'm in. Edward, holler at me. We'll do that. So, man, I want to go back in time a little bit, Andy. We've talked about what you got going now, but I want to go back in time a little bit. You are one of the original OGs of Clarksville Drift. No?
No, that's actually really not accurate.
No?
No, sir. I've only been drifting for 5 years. This is year 5 for me.
How long's Clarksville been going?
I couldn't honestly tell you.
It's only been going for 6 or 7.
I've been running it for, this will be 4 years.
Yeah.
But it was going, if I remember right, it was going for about 8 years before I took it over. But it had a very...
I would be shocked if that's accurate. Somebody needs to...
Jake Elliott or Human will be able to...
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody will be able to chime in and tell me. But it was going on
That would mean 12 to 13 years ago, and that just doesn't seem possible.
So the way Clarksville Drift started is one of the owner's sons...
I remember that.
Dustin was really into drifting, and that's who started it.
I remember that.
And... he ran it for years until I took it over. And for Dustin, it was really about him and his buddies drifting.
Yeah.
That's really what it was about.
At Dad's track.
Worked
out good.
There wasn't... I actually went to one...
Mm-hmm.
You know, at my age, time starts to blur together.
Dude, you're not going to tell me nothing. You're not going to tell me nothing about not being able to remember everything.
I went to one of the events 2 or 3 years before I started running it, before I even started drifting.
Yeah.
Just to hang out with some friends. And, you know, it's the car community. We're all buddies, or a lot of us are. And it was a fun event, but it was very much directed specifically for the boys in Clarksville.
Yeah.
It wasn't advertised. It was one of those, if you knew about it, you knew about it. If not, okay. Right before I took it over, it looked like it was going to go away. It was which is the only reason I took it over. I really had no desire to run events, although I've got a lot of enjoyment from it now.
I remember we had that conversation all the way back there, and you were like, dude, I really don't want to do this. I don't know how.
I didn't have a clue. I had a lot of guidance from you. I owe a lot of what Clarksville became to you. We adopted, I came out to that Bowling Green event. We talked. I said, hey, can I steal your tech sheet?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, absolutely. And, and that's kind of where our tech came from. And we started, I don't want to say we modeled it different, but we just made some very small, subtle changes. Sure. We increased what we advertise.
Mm-hmm.
We really started, making flyers. I make the flyers. I know they're not very good. I'm not artistic. I'm doing the best I can, but they get the word out there, right?
That's right. That's right.
And that's really where I took it over, and we started doing a couple other things. We tried our competition series. I've tried it for 3 years. We're not doing it this year.
Yeah.
The people who have come out have been great, and we've always had a great time. And there's been a couple of them where I was like, this is what I was looking for, because I still maintain that there's not a grassroots competition.
Yeah, there's really not.
There's just not. And for me personally, I went from driving with the boys to ProAm, and I got smacked around.
Yeah, big change.
I got smacked around. I had now also, and I think that scares a lot of people off. I'll also say I also in 4 events, 4 days, progressed as a driver more than I would have in a year not doing it.
Sure.
I know there's a lot of people who are like, I don't want to go that FD route. I don't have any interest in this. If you're looking to advance your skill as a driver in the most rapid way possible, nothing will beat high-level competition.
Sure.
So I got to get that out there, because I hear all the time people say they don't do competitions because they don't want to do FD, and I'm like, well, okay. Yeah. Do you want to be a better driver?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I would say, too, you need to stretch yourself. There's a lot of guys that only drift Clarksville, and you're not, once you've driven Clarksville 3 or 4 times, you're not learning anything else there.
No.
And it shows when you go to a bigger, faster track and you really struggle with the extra speed, that you need to get out of that little bitty area. Nothing wrong with it.
No,
but you need to stretch yourself. You need to go to bigger, faster tracks just to make yourself a better driver.
I love Clarksville for what it is.
Sure.
It is a great beginner track.
Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
a great place to go hang out with your buddies and run doors and have a good time and hang out. Our 2 days are huge parties.
Yep.
We have bonfires. We sit around. It's great for the community, and that's what I want. I want Clarksville to be all about the community and growing it. However, if you are really looking to push yourself to the next level, it is not the right track.
Yeah, not to really learn how to drive.
Every time I go, I can drive Clarksville with my eyes closed. I've driven it so many times, and I enjoy it every time.
Sure.
However, every time I've gone to a new track, I've had to learn a new skill or change up something I do, even if it's something as simple as working on timing or changing the way you progress your vision. Like, there are so many subtle nuances to every different track you go to.
Yeah.
Like, go to every track you can. Every single one of them.
Because everyone's different, and each one will have a different, like you said, skill set that it takes to drive it. And you got to learn them. You need to learn them all so that you can go anywhere and never be surprised.
Right.
I really think now, just because the years that I've been behind the wheel, the years that I've done different racetracks, when I got to go to NCM and do the test, I'd never done it. I never even seen the place. And I took my Corvette out there, and you know how blind it is. You can't see where you're going. And I went out there and I linked the course on the first try, because I've driven other bigger, fast racetracks. If I'd have come out of a parking lot, there'd have been no way to do that. I would look like an idiot trying to drive that track.
And you see it. It's evident. This is one of the things I'm proud of is that, and I can't take hardly any credit for it, but I've played my part, is the progression of drivers in our area. I'm very proud of our, greater area drivers.
Sure.
You can go anywhere in the country and be most of our drivers will be really respected is drivers there.
Nice.
For both their professionalism and the way they carry themselves, but also their driving.
Yeah.
And but that's because we have so many tracks and so many different events, and we have so many other people that are willing to help teach it. I learned something from, I've been driving 5 years aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
Like every penny I get goes to tires pretty much. And I still will have people come up to me and be like, hey man, have you ever tried this? You should look into doing this or doing it this way. Like
nice.
Every time I go to the track, I learn from somebody, and it's not always necessarily somebody who's better than me. It's just somebody who has a different experience. And that, because there's no replacement for a different experience.
Well, because we're human and we get in ruts.
Yep.
You get to where you're doing it at the same time every day because it works.
Yeah.
Well, then the next time you go to compete, it didn't work so good because that guy's doing something different. Now you got to learn something new.
Yeah. And I don't. And the other side of that is that's why I really love drifting. Is because you're not easily gonna hit that peak where you're gonna be really good at every track and every situation against every driver. Like that is a very, very high bar.
Yeah. And
you're gonna have to work at it very, very hard. And the only thing that is gonna get you there is seat time.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you can build. We've seen several people come and go over the years. You probably more than me have seen people show up in insane cars with every bit of goodness and set up by people who really know what they're doing and cannot drive it. Can't turn a lap to save their life. And then we see some kid in $136 or 136 horsepower BMW just absolutely ripping it,
killing it.
And it's just being there and doing that.
It happens, man. It really does. It happens. I've got stories bouncing in and out of my head right now about different drivers I've seen come and go.
Which is why I would really like to push everybody, especially all my Clarksville drivers. If you're only driving Clarksville, sign up for this NCM event. It is a completely different animal. Everybody's getting paid at midnight. Spend the money and go experience
Registration is open for 8 more days.
Go experience something that is completely different. That track is a completely different experience. It requires a completely different skill set. And you will get the same satisfaction from linking that track the first time that you got the first time you linked a track, because it is so different. And I think it's one of the best tracks in the region. I think it belongs in the conversation as best track and one of the best tracks in the country. Maybe not the best,
freaking sweet,
but it is a real. We are very spoiled to be able to drive there, and I just, if you're in the area or not, I've been talking to a bunch of guys from St. Louis that are like, well, how good is it? And I'm like,
they're all coming down in April.
Yeah. They're all coming down in April.
They've got their event coming up. The Ryan Tarver, I think's his name. Yeah, he's been messaging me back and forth. Great dude. Like, I'm going to go to his. He's going to come to ours.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm going to go to both.
Yeah, nice. Everybody should go to both, really.
Honestly, everybody should just go to both. It's such a good
with
track.
An opportunity to drive at that place, you shouldn't miss it. It doesn't matter.
And now we're going to get to full course potentially.
It's potential. That is.
I need some volunteers to step up, because a full course would be
it'd be stupid.
Insane. It would be literally a drifter's paradise. It is what we dream about and talk about, and we sit in our garage late night going, it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This could be that event.
Yeah.
Show up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you something funny about the first time I did the tire test up there. The guy at the time, his name was Zach. That was kind of the GM up there. He's not there anymore.
I remember Zach.
But he told me a really funny phone call that he got a few days after we did the tire test. He got this phone call from this old cat that was, had a Corvette that liked to come out there and just drive on their track days or whatnot. And this guy called him because he had driven by and seen the smoke and seen the black marks that we left all over the track. And he was calling to blister them for letting us do that, because how in the world am I going to find my marks now when I come and drive? How am I going to see where I'm supposed to be on the track? You guys let all that rubber be put down. It was hilarious. So let's come into the track so we can make more of those silly old men mad.
I just want to give a PSA to anybody who thinks they're a driver. If you're using tire marks on the track for your indicators, you're doing it wrong. Whether
whether you're road racing, circle track, off-road.
Kidding. the surface changes. You need to find something. Also, if you're looking at the track, you're looking too close. You're not setting up for a corner appropriately.
That's right.
You're doing it wrong.
Let's make some more old men mad. Come out and let's put some more rubber down.
Yeah.
I
know a lot of people. The other thing that I've seen about it is a lot of people talk about the muffler rule.
Yeah, so let me clear that up.
Yeah.
So here's the deal on the muffler rule. And Zach and I went through this, and he was really helpful with it because, they try to scare you to death with the muffler rule that, from 50 feet, you got to be under this decibel
It scares
level.
a lot of people off.
Yeah, it really does. But here's the truth about it. There's a subdivision that was there before they built the track. And it's on the east end, way across the field over there. And in the very first house that's closest to the track, in their backyard, there's a sound meter. Now, that sound meter takes an hourly average of what the sound is coming from that direction. And the interstate registers sound on that sound meter. That's how sensitive they are, right? And there's a decimal level that has to be maintained underneath for an average of an hour.
Right.
Which means if it spikes up over it a little bit every once in a while, but then comes back down, and it spikes back up over it and comes back down, as long as it stays under the number for the whole hourly average, we're okay. And that's how we've been able to go out there and drift. The only time, we've done it twice now, it's 2 years in a row, this will be the third season. The second season, they had an HPDE going while we were there drifting, if you remember.
I remember that, yeah.
And you could hear those cars over our cars. If you were standing in
And we never hit, right? Because I was talking...
We never did. They did.
Okay.
They hit twice because they had a couple of ZR1s or whatever, and long down that front straightaway, that's got the ass end pointed toward that sound meter. You see? Our drift cars, the only time the exhaust is pointed toward the sound meter is on the very first entry to the first corner, and then you go down in the hole.
Go in the sinkhole, yeah.
And it's over. They don't hear nothing else from us the whole time we were there. Zach, my car's loud. Wesley's car's loud as crap. And then we did the tire test together. And Zach was in a meeting in the office and forgot we were there.
I was going to say, so it was the first one you did.
Yeah.
You remember it rained so hard?
Yeah.
Which turned into, I have some of those pictures on my phone. It's some of the best stuff. Every time I come across them of us carrying canopies down the track.
Dude, that's the best driver's meeting we've ever done.
It was awesome. I had such a good time. But, I worked as a flagger there because I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
But halfway through the day, the owner came out and was watching us. And he was all about it. And I asked him, I was like, a lot of drifters kind of scared off by the muffler rule. And he was like, none of you guys are loud enough to make me nervous.
Yeah.
And we had some loud cars there.
Yeah.
That being said, don't show up with your open header Mustang Junior and ruin it for us.
Or high rev 350Z that's loud as crap.
But I can say that last year I went in my 350Z, 6.2 LS. Mm-hmm. It's X piped out, and I rev it to 75-ish. Well, I don't want to tell my crew chief how high I really rev it.
Yeah, I feel that.
Say 75-ish.
100 RPM.
And never spiked, was never an issue.
Yeah.
So if my basically straight piped Z, I mean, it's got an X pipe, which helps a lot, but doesn't take it off, you're going to be okay. And if you do have a super duper loud car, just space your laps out.
Yeah, that's what I've told everybody. If you do have a really super loud car, do 4 runs an hour. Spread it out. Because they let LMP2 cars test there. And they're some of the loudest cars on the planet. But they go out and make 3 laps, and then they go in and tinker for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And they stay under the hourly average. That's how it works. So it's not so much per car. So don't let that scare you out of... I had a guy today, there was a thread, and a guy said, I'm not putting my mufflers on no car just to come and drive that one track. And I'm like, I tried to message him, and we'll see if he shows, if he's smart enough to understand how dumb that sounds. Don't worry about it. You can still come and play because it's an average of the hourly time. nobody's going to make you put mufflers on your car to come and race at this track.
No, and it's what it really is for.
And even if they do, the track has these little baffles,
the cones,
that slide up in your tailpipe and hold together with a couple of set screws. And if you just put them in there, it satisfies them.
Too easy.
So big deal, do it. Anyway.
I don't miss out on one of the best tracks in the region. There's only one other track I can think of that rivals it, and that's Polecat.
Yeah.
That's the only track that's even in the same conversation as it.
I need to get that guy on here. I need to get the Polecat guys on.
Dude, they do a lot of cool stuff out there. They like the training. They do a lot of cool things out there. I'd watch that.
I've had like 2 conversations with the guy, and he just kind of blows us off. So
that's too bad.
He's buddies with the iTrack guy and whatever. So
I don't know how well that's going.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's dying out. I don't know.
But Chase puts on a great event out there, and I will be. I think they're doing 2 out there this year.
Yeah.
And I will be at both of them as long as they'll have me. And I recommend anybody that can get in to go.
Well, maybe they'll let me come to that one.
Yeah, because it is so good.
I would love it. We're going to take another break. That's 3 segments down already. Hit that like button, share button, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Be sure and watch us as when we get these babies re-edited for content and put back up on the thing. Also, don't forget you can go to Spotify and go to their, I guess, what do you call it, podcast section, and you can look up Get Slydewayz with Barry Clapp on Spotify and listen in the car, listen in the shop, that kind of thing. But anyway, do that for us. Help us grow this audience. We'll be right back. Hey guys, listen, if you need a livery on your race car or a wrap done on your commercial vehicle, give the guys down at Graphic Effects in Murfreesboro a call, 615-896-4301. They are the best in the business at what they do. If you need a mural done inside your business or outside on a brick wall even, they can do it. If you need a logo on your garage floor, they can do it. They specialize in commercial wraps, but they can also do the single color stuff, cool looking stripes, anything else you can think of. If you need a banner, if you just need stickers, if you need something cool for your race car, give these guys a call. Graphic Effects down in Murfreesboro, 615-896-4301. Check them out.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Finch with Finch Performance, and we're just going to take a quick little peek around the shop here to see some of the different things that we work on around here. So first up, we've got some chassis in production. We've got a small backlog right now, but we're knocking out some 67 to 72 C10 stuff. We've got a really cool 67 crew cab Chevy here, C10. We've made a custom one-off Apex Predator chassis with long arm suspension all the way around. This thing's going to be pretty badass. 56 F100 with a Coyote 10-speed. Just all we got left here is really getting the supercharger installed, finishing up the wiring and a little bit of the fuel system, get it fired off. And then, of course, we're back on our Ferrari 308 custom project here with the LT5 engine and a Graziano 6-speed transaxle. So this thing is going to be full kill, badass. And that's just some of the things we do here. So we don't just build trucks. We build a lot of everything. Main thing is we have a good time because that's what it's about.
Hey guys, we're back. Hope you enjoyed those commercials. Hope you watched the video about the NCM event that's coming up here March the 1st. It's only 8 days away, I think. We're up to about 22 registered drivers. I'd like to see about 75, so if you wouldn't mind to go ahead and pre-register, that'd be great. Keep me from all my hair falling out or turning white. It'd be nice to not have to stress every time we do an event. Just so you know, that's probably why our event schedule is going to start getting smaller and smaller. We just can't take the pressure anymore. We can't take the losses. We can't take the stress. We're just not going to do it anymore. We're probably going to do 2 events a year, and then you guys can drift at Import Alliance and Slush and whoever else that has the bigger, deeper pockets that can come and host these events for you. And I'll go out there and I'll get to play too.
Yeah.
I'll get to go and drive and have a good time and not have to stress about everything.
I know you've done it a couple of times.
It's rare, man.
But I can tell you, after hosting events for a while, going to an event where you're in charge of nothing and just get to drive and hang out is really nice. Although I feel like 9 times out of 10, I've been to a couple of Import Alliances that you got roped into running.
And I'm always up for that. You know what I mean?
I love those guys.
I do too. I do too. They're great. Toppy's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Toppy will straight up look at me and say, "You got anything else to add?" He's a cool little cat. Oh. And I'm fine with helping out. I don't mind that a bit because I want everybody to have a good time. And everybody knows that I've done it more at the super speedway than anybody has. And I'm cool with that. Anytime I can help, I'm happy to help. I'm just tired of the stress. I can't take it anymore.
I'm a big fan of Toppy.
He's a good dude. He came by here not too long ago, and, he works on custom cars and stuff, too. He's got his own little garage.
I didn't know that. Oh.
And he had some kind of a rear carbon fiber splitter for a Lambo that he was needing just some white accents put on it.
Oh, nice.
And I was terrified to even touch the thing. He's like, "This thing's like $13,000 or something." I'm like, "Ooh, you want me to do what?" But yeah, Toppy's a good dude. We're glad to have friends with him like him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a good guy.
He definitely looks out for the drifters.
He does. He takes good care of everybody. You know what I mean?
He really does.
He does a great job at NSS. He does a great job at Bowling Green up there.
Yeah.
And I guess they still run the Atlanta thing.
Yeah, so they're scheduled this year. Atlanta's in April.
Oh, that's coming up.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I'm excited to go to that. I've
go to that one
I've committed to all the Import Alliances. I'm giving ride-alongs at all of the Import Alliances this year. So
that's cool. I got to do that a couple of times. Back when I was going, they would always hire in Kelsey or somebody like that, and she'd make a few laps and her car would fail, and there'd be this big long line of people to take rides, and they'd be screwed.
Well, I can tell you that the boys are doing it this year. I can give you the lineup if you'd like.
Nice. Who is it?
It is me. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up.
No, say it the other way.
Well, the other way gets kind of muddy because at the top is Human. And then you've got 2 of my favorite people and favorite drivers in our community. You got Elijah White and Gavin Threet.
Oh, sweet.
And Gavin, don't ever tell him I said this, but Gavin is my pick to win East 10 this year.
No kidding.
He is on something.
Boy can drive.
He can drive, and he is possessed. Every time I see him behind the wheel, his tire is on somebody's door, and I really want to beat him bad, but I'm just like, that new car is sick, and he is on one. If you were asking me to bet money, I will say Alan Boss is coming.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a driver, too. But if I had to pick somebody, it'd be Gavin.
I got to meet Alan last year. Human had him come down, and we did the wrap on his car last year. as he was passing through town. So Alan was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah,
guy.
I like Alan's whole crew. You know, him and Hooman kind of teamed up last year.
Yeah.
And we did a bunch of work and traveled around. I love all of Alan's team. You know, me and Alan's mom spots for him.
Nice.
Mama boss.
Mama boss. I love it.
And we were kind of up there trying to figure it out and help each other out together, you know. And I had a good time with them. I really did. And then Casey and Alan were at Nopi last weekend, so I pitted next to them and we hung out. They made fun of how terrible I was driving. And
Nice. Thank you.
yeah, you know, just
That's
like buddies do.
Yeah, they must really like me.
Yeah. Right.
That's awesome.
I totally lost our train of thought. Oh yeah. So, but that's the
we
lineup.
We had a train of thought.
I don't.
Good
But yeah,
for
it's going to
us.
be for giving ride-alongs for all 3 import alliances this year. Is scheduled to be me,
cool.
Hooman Rahimi, Gavin Threet, and Elijah White. Which
That's a little paid gig, right?
yeah,
Like,
they
cut
take
you
care
in a
of
little
us.
bit on that,
They
yeah.
cut us in. It works really well. I'll be honest. I snuck my way in at Import Alliance Bowling Green, the last one they had. I didn't do it intentionally, but I don't regret it. I pull up and there's Elijah, Gavin, and Hooman there, pitted, kind of separate from everybody. And I know this is hard to believe, but I was running a little late.
No.
And so I just parked next to my friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Toppy came up and was like, "You want to give ride-alongs?" And I was like,
Of course.
"Sure." I didn't know it was a paid gig. I just thought, he needed some guys to give ride-alongs.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I'm down." And we started doing it. I get out. My wife has got a fistful of armbands. And I was like, "Where are you keeping all the armbands?" She's like, "We're getting paid every lap." And I was like,
$10.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, sweet. So,
Dude, that was the beauty of the taxi. When I had the taxi,
I bet.
I got to go on a couple of those paid gigs, and one of them was at one of the first Turismos at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And Hooman was charging, golly, $50 or $60 a ticket to ride, and the driver got half of that.
Nice.
And so I was throwing 3 people at a time in the car.
I
was making $75 a lap that day. I probably made $600.
That's a good day drifting.
Yeah, I'm like.
I mean, it didn't even cover your tires, but
yeah. Well, it did in that thing.
Did it? Okay.
Oh yeah, that thing was. I was running them cheapo Lion Hearts or something on it, that would last 10 or 12 laps.
Have you noticed that, like, in recent years, the secret sauce cheapo tire has become more and more secretive?
Yeah.
Like when Kinda was it, like everybody was talking about it, and then the Ironmans for a little bit.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like, no, don't tell anybody that these are good and cheap. And we don't want them to do its price to run up.
It's so funny. Then Zestino, and then then there's a new one. There was one last year. I bought a bunch of them with Derek Carter. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It was some crazy Chinese thing named like that, and they lasted great.
We've been running through them.
Yeah.
I've been running the Saloons a lot.
I hadn't heard of that one. Saloon.
Good smoke, lasts a while.
Yeah.
Fair grip. Like don't take them into competition. But if you're just partying with the boys or turning laps, that's the move.
Yeah.
They're really good.
That's all you need. I mean,
But
that's all I'll ever need.
The price of them, even the price of them has started to creep up. So.
Oh, yeah. Anytime any tire gets popular.
Yeah. That's why people started keeping it a secret. I just don't have the
funny.
heart. There'll be another one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There'll be another one. Just let your boys know.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of that one that we were using last year. I bought like 40 at a time, and everybody was using them. Derek had a bunch. I got a bunch. Brent bought a bunch for me. Golly, I can't think of the name of it. Saved my life now. Anyway, I promise I'm not just keeping that to myself.
Yeah, see, look at him. I'm gonna get him to tell me off camera, and then I'll put it in the chat, guys. I'll
have
talk
to Google it. I'll have to get Derek. Derek or Kelly call us and tell us what it was. I can't remember because I need to order some more of them out.
Hey, did anybody say when Clarksville started? Did you see that pop up?
Hooman said he thinks in 2009.
No, that's when we started.
It might have been about the same. I'm
That's
telling
when,
you, it was
that's
a
when,
while.
That's when Tennessee Drift started in 2009, and we were the only show in town for several years. There wasn't a Clarksville Drift until years after.
I just more curious
I can't
than
believe it
anything.
was more than 2 or 3 years before you.
Yeah, it was a
came
while.
along. I just have a hard time believing that. I just don't remember. Maybe I just didn't know about it. Maybe I just didn't know about it. Because you said it was a small club.
It was a small group. There was a
it wasn't like it was a big deal.
Groups. And I'm always hesitant to like go into it because I wasn't there and I don't remember it clearly. But I know there was a group called Battle Tested, a bunch of military guys that kind of had a lot to do with it. I remember
Battle Tested.
Yeah,
I remember that name.
And a couple of different groups. I think Jake actually came out of them.
Yeah,
I think he was part of them initially.
Clarksville started before Tennessee Drift.
No kidding.
Yeah, see,
Very, very small.
Yeah, it was very, very small for a long time.
That's right. I remember Hooman saying that he had been to a Clarksville Drift event before he came to our first one, and he joked about, going up there and not knowing what he was doing or anything like that, or trying to figure it out or something. I do remember that.
It's the underground, man.
No kidding. Nobody knew it was even happening.
Yeah.
How about that? And where it is now.
Listen, the only way I found out about it is I lived kind of a street over from the track, and I had just let you work that out. And I had just bought a 350Z because I wanted like a fun street car that was cheap.
Yeah.
I wasn't even really a fan of 350Zs, but I found that one for like $3,500. It ran and drove, AC worked, like. It was a good deal, so I bought it and kind of started liking it. And I was driving past one day, and they were having a drift event.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'll go try. So I did. I showed up. I didn't really know anybody. I had one friend with me, and I went out there and started drifting, not knowing anybody.
Maybe you told me that story before.
Yeah.
That story's starting to sound familiar.
Yeah.
Maybe you've told me that before.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't like I got this car and I'm going to go start. It was, I had a car that was capable of drifting because it was dirt cheap and kind of fun on the street, and was driving by the track and they were drifting, and I was like, I'm going to stop in. And that's how it started for me. I accidentally, it's like my fourth lap, accidentally got in a tandem line because it was shorter and got sharked by Jesse. You know who you are.
Nice.
And but luckily, it didn't crash or anything in front of him, and started making friends from there. I got out of the car after a lap, was like, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
No kidding.
And and the community kind of took me in and was like, hey, these are the mods you should do, and just was super friendly. And I was it was really at that point because everybody kind of took me in. That's when I first met Stefan, met Jake shortly thereafter. The list goes on and on. Lehman, Dave Crutcher, all of those guys.
Yeah.
He hasn't been around in a while, but all those guys just took me in, and I was immediately, you like cars, I like cars. Let's be friends. And really showed me the ropes. And so, when there was a possibility of there being no more drifting in Clarksville, I took it personally and was like, luckily I have had a relationship with William for years through just being at the track.
The EMT thing.
Yeah. And he needed an EMT at the dirt track. So the original deal was, I will work as your EMT at the dirt track for $0 if you will let me try and run these drift events.
Wow.
Just to keep them alive.
Yeah.
And the first 2 or 3 were shaky.
Yeah, I bet.
They were not good. I apologize to anybody who was at them. I was trying. But, I got with you, and we kind of talked through some things. I kind of went to some other events. I took over Clarksville Drift, never having been to anywhere but Clarksville to drive.
Yeah.
So, branched out a little bit, took notes on what other organizers in our area were doing, and started to apply it, and had more people with more experience and different visions came in and helped me expand it. And
nice.
It really got too big there for a while. It was too big for the track there for a little bit, and we had to pull back some. But
I remember you saying you were getting 60 cars, and I'm like,
yeah,
where were you putting them at that place?
It was crazy. And Clarksville's where you go to party, so anytime you bring up run groups or anything, it's no. Yeah, so
I do support that. I'm not a fan of run groups either.
Well,
but golly, 60 cars in that little bitty place.
The last time I went to Smokies, which has been a while.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years now.
they had run groups.
Yeah.
And this was back before anybody knew who I was. I got put in Group A to start the day.
Nice.
And I was like, I want to, but all my friends were out there tandeming together, and I was like, I want to go tandem with my friends. That was the first event I ever did with an angle kit too. Like I'd come off an off season in my original car. I'd put the GK Tech kit in. I'd had a hydro in it. Like I welded the diff finally. And so I was really like, I went out there, did my first lap, and was like, this is different. I love it. Like, let me go tandem with my friends.
I'm Superman.
Yeah. And I had to convince Louie over the course of the day to please let me go. And he was like, all right, but no single runs. And I was like, not a problem. Yeah. So he made me, he like watched a couple of my laps, and on one of them I like hit a cone. I was like, oh no, he's not going to let me move up. Yeah, I thought Louie was going to get me, but yeah, that's kind of how Clarksville got to where it is now. And it, like I said, it's been around forever.
That's something else. That's really funny to me because I don't know if I just blocked that out or what, because I do not remember that. That is so funny.
I don't know if there was like some little special forum you had to be a part of, to know about it.
It probably was a forum back then, wasn't it?
So.
Because I know I did some things on forums in 09, 10, 11.
Yeah, that was the thing.
I bet you that's what it was, and I just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I lived in Clarksville and didn't know about it, so.
Golly, yeah, that was an hour away for me.
Even went to the track regularly, They have that Midnight Madness out there. I had a couple of little hot rods. I'd go out there and, not be fast, but have fun.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
And I didn't even know about it.
Isn't that something? But you're ready to concentrate on driving now.
Yeah, so I haven't really made it publicly known.
Yeah. Are we letting the cat out of the bag?
Yeah. So I'm probably there's a good team at Clarksville.
Yeah.
And everybody has grown there. I'm probably going to continue to participate and be part of the events as a host for probably the next 2 to 3 events, and then I'm going to be taking a step back to focus on driving. There's a lot that there's a lot that goes on in the background when it comes to hosting and organizing and doing all of that, and it is taken away from my ability to focus on driving for years.
Yeah.
And I really want to focus on driving. I'm really shooting my shot here. Like we talked about earlier, I quit EMS. I'm having my midlife crisis so I can drive as much as possible. And so I'm planning on taking a step back. There's several people in place that can run those events. It's become so smooth out there. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really do much anymore.
Nice.
It's the leading up to. It's the advertising and the host and the organizing. The day of the events, I don't do much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm big on a safety watch. You bomb the hill in Clarksville.
Yeah.
And the guys running grid can't see you in the figure 8.
Yeah.
So I'm big on having somebody sit down there and watch and make sure there's nothing going on and some idiot isn't decided to sprint across the track and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's really all I do. And to be honest, anyone is capable of that. That doesn't.
Anybody with a brain anyway.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody can find a way to screw it up, but I've accomplished my goal with taking over those events. I feel like I've done a good job of growing Clarksville. I've done a good job of honoring Dustin's legacy. I feel like I've just grown the community the best you can is just being a host. And I think it's time for me to step back and, let somebody else step in there and take over and maybe lead it in a different direction. I recently found out that this year's probably not going to be the tracks last year. There's probably a year after, but I don't really know. And
I don't feel like he really knows.
Well, that's a whole complicated situation with the city buying it.
Yeah.
And we could talk about it, but I don't have any real answers or knowledge or,
Yeah, there's no point yet.
I'm just another cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
But
another brick in the wall.
Right. But yeah, I think I really want to focus on drifting. I'm participating on Human's team, and
that's cool.
We've got a shop, and there's just other things for me to focus on. It's been a great opportunity, and I've got to see and take part in lots of drivers' growth. and it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. I didn't take over. I took over hosting events thinking I'd be miserable because I wasn't driving, and all I care about is driving.
Yeah,
and that really wasn't the case.
I can feel that.
Getting in a car and teaching somebody some pointers and watching them really step their driving up to the next level is extremely rewarding.
Yeah,
not as rewarding as driving, but pretty close.
I can feel that.
Yeah,
I can feel that. All right, guys, we're going to take another quick little break. We'll come back. We'll go have one more section. We'll do a little more reminiscing. We'll probably hit some sponsors and some thank yous and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey guys, listen, if you need a livery on your race car or a wrap done on your commercial vehicle, give the guys down at Graphic Effects in Murfreesboro a call, 615-896-4301. They are the best in the business at what they do. If you need a mural done inside your business or outside on a brick wall even, they can do it. If you need a logo on your garage floor, they can do it. They specialize in commercial wraps, but they can also do the single color stuff, cool looking stripes, anything else you can think of. If you need a banner, if you just need stickers, if you need something cool for your race car, give these guys a call. Graphic Effects down in Murfreesboro, 615-896-4301. Check them out.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Finch with Finch Performance, and we're just going to take a quick little peek around the shop here to see some of the different things that we work on around here. So first up, we've got some chassis in production. We've got a small backlog right now, but we're knocking out some 67 to 72 C10 stuff. We've got a really cool 67 crew cab Chevy here, C10. We've made a custom one-off Apex Predator chassis with long arm suspension all the way around. This thing's going to be pretty badass. 56 F100 with a Coyote 10-speed. Just all we got left here is really getting the supercharger installed, finishing up the wiring and a little bit of the fuel system, get it fired off. And then, of course, we're back on our Ferrari 308 custom project here with the LT5 engine and a Graziano 6-speed transaxle. So this thing is going to be full kill, badass. And that's just some of the things we do here. So we don't just build trucks. We build a lot of everything. Main thing is we have a good time, because that's what it's about.
All right, guys, welcome back. We've had a really good night here on Get Slydewayz with me, Barry Clapp. We've got Andy Hardy in the house. We've talked a little bit of everything, pro drifting, event organization.
Yeah.
We've promoted an event. We're going to promote some more here in a minute. So we've been noticing in the comments that there are people still commenting about not having mufflers on the cars. If you don't, just come. I'm going to kill all of you. Just come.
And I'm a help.
It's going to be great. You're going to freaking love it. Don't worry about the muffler thing. Come on. It's going to be a good time.
Look, I'll bring a bunch of steel wool. So worst case scenario, if we start hitting, we'll just stuff steel wool.
Yeah.
It works as a great baffle.
Yeah.
Like,
just shove it up in there and put a set screw in to hold it in place or something.
Job done.
No problem. We're probably, I can't say for sure, but we're probably going to get to end up hot lapping this whole course. And that ain't never been done before. So.
Dude, how long is the full course? Do we know?
It's 3 miles.
Is it 3 miles? So that's longer than Polecat.
Yeah, it's longer than Polecat.
That's crazy.
It may be 3.5. I need to look that up, actually. I'll tell you how long it is.
Yeah,
I'm
curious.
I think the west course by itself is over 2 miles. I'll have to Google that, baby.
I'm just saying, like, I like the idea if you pre-register, you get the full course. And if you pay at the gate, you get sinkhole.
Oh, like throw a little incentive on them.
Yeah.
If you pre-register, you are eligible to hot lap the whole course.
Whole course.
But if you dilly around and wait and pay at the gate, you're only going to get to do the sinkhole. I wonder if we ought to just go ahead and set that in stone right now. It don't guarantee it, but it makes you eligible for it.
Yeah, right.
We're probably going to end up doing it. I feel like we're going to get to do it. Like they were open to it.
Yeah.
We just got to be able to.
It's about getting some volunteers mostly, right?
That's it. We just got to be able to put some dang.
With a brain cell.
Yeah, it can't be anybody. It's got to be somebody who knows what they're talking about. I'm looking to see if it says what size.
I'm just kind of curious in general now, too, to be honest. It's a good size track. I mean,
it's a big racetrack.
It's a big racetrack.
How long is NCM? Here we go. Grand full course is 3.15 miles.
So it's a whole mile longer than Polecat. That is so long.
That's a long track.
I'm so excited. I just want to go home and sleep and it'd be March 1st. Like the Ute's ready to go. I got to change the oil in the Ute because I really beat on it in the rain. It needs another oil change. But other than that, like I'm ready to go. I've got tires stacked up. I'm gonna hot lap all day.
I think it'll be a blast. Yeah, this literally says that the east course, which is the sinkhole, is 1.1 miles.
Yeah.
The west course is 2 miles by itself.
So we're talking.
So the west course is twice the size of what we've already been drifting out there.
Yeah. That's incredible.
I think it's 9 turns. I think the west course alone.
The west course has got some pretty quick corners too.
So you're talking about if we hot lap the whole track, it's isn't the entry to the sinkhole turn 18? I think that's right.
Yeah.
So that means
I'm fired up.
That means it's 20 or 21 turns back out onto the front straightaway.
I can't wait to get out there.
So
you know what? I hope nobody else shows up so nobody's in my way because I'm going to be out there hot lapping all day. Screw it, don't sign up.
The opportunity to hot lap on a 21-turn world-class road course.
It's incredible track.
You know, I'm just going to say it. You're a friggin' idiot if you don't come to this event. You really are.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm just going to stay out there and hot lap.
You're a friggin' idiot.
There'll be nobody in grid. I'm just going to burn
come to this event.
Untold amount of money in tires.
If I don't get 40 cars at this event to go drift this full road course, I'm quitting. I ain't never doing another one.
Oof.
That's it. That's how big this is.
It's so good.
It's so stupid that people won't sign up to come.
Even the
do
sinkhole is so good. That's what.
Oh my gosh!
Bombing
it's
into
awesome.
the sinkhole is such a cool feeling, and when you pull back up into the sweet, it's such a sweet sweeper out. There's some it's such a good track.
It's so much fun.
Ignore the muffler rule, okay? We're drifters.
Yeah.
We don't worry about stuff like that. Just get after it.
Muffler rule. We need 40 cars. If I don't get 40 cars, I'm quitting.
I'll quit too.
I'm laying the gauntlet down. If I don't get 40 drift cars to this event, I'm done. Because it's silly that you're not going to sign up and come to this event. So I'm done.
I've seen it posted everywhere.
Yeah.
And everybody, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Too, I want to give everybody, the local people some props because I see it everywhere. Everybody is sharing it.
Yeah.
If you're a drifter in the east side of the country, you've seen the flyer.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Absolutely.
I've had some of the guys from St. Louis talk to me about it. Like, is the track worth driving to? And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So they signed up for their event that's next month.
Yeah. But drive it twice.
For twice the money.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it's not going to be Grand Course.
No.
They're just getting sinkhole, right?
Yeah, that's all they'll get. Yeah.
Yeah. Grand Course.
Yikes. I'm telling you.
For half the money.
I'm telling you. You better come.
It's such an opportunity.
I'm telling you. You're going to be mad if you don't. We've done it twice. This will be the third year.
Everybody plug your ears. It's $75 more than Clarksville. for a grand road course. Oh,
okay.
All right. Let's get on something
I'm
different.
Wow. That's
so it was
funny.
Zek Nova's is the tire you was talking about.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. They
I went through 40 of them mothers last year. It was a blast.
I think Jake won a bunch from GS Drift, but it's their 200 treadwear one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
they were decently grippy, and they stayed pretty consistent.
He seemed to really like them.
Mm-hmm. I know Derek ran a lot of events on them. My buddy Brent bought some of the ones that I bought from me, and he really liked them. You know, he put a little extra cam in his car, so his car's got a little more power now, and he thought they were great. He's got C5 with a WiseFab on it, so he can crab walk that thing.
WiseFab is so much the answer.
Now, didn't you tell me you just went to WiseFab in your Z, right?
I did. So I competed all last year on the GK Tech kit and all of that. And listen, the GK Tech kit is a pretty good kit, especially for the money.
That's what's on my little Z.
If you're talking about the $300 kit, if you start getting into the full kit with a knuckle and everything, you're into WiseFab or FDF money.
Might as well.
Or Just Engineering, which I think is an underrated angle company. But WiseFab has more championships than anybody else. Yeah, I think so. But I mean, even now.
Like, that's the first famous name I ever heard of back in the day.
Even now, they do really well.
Yeah.
And I can tell you it was night and day. I had so much issues with my car with the GK Tech stuff. And I just think it's the higher speed, higher forces. Like, you know, I went from... I doubled everything. Doubled the grip, doubled the power. The only thing I didn't double was the weight. You know, I cut 1,000 pounds out of the car.
Yeah.
And the GK Tech kit was just not up to the task. I can tell you another thing, too. For anybody out there building their ultimate drift car, do a little research on how drift cars work, because I made some pretty critical errors when I built my car. Like I did the whole weight is low and as far back as possible thing. Yeah.
For like drag racing?
Or road racing. Like for any other form of racing? Yes. Yes, that's what I did. And that is not the right answer.
That's funny.
Yeah, I've learned a lot, but I've had not always a good time. Like, I'm sure everybody's seen the picture of me standing in front of my car at East 10 while it's covered in sodium bicarb, also known as fire extinguisher powder.
Yeah.
Which is still in the engine bay. We've scrubbed. It's done forever. Like, the only way to do it is to redo everything. But big shout out to them, because I got that fire put out immediately, and thanks to them, we were able to repair the car and go out for our next battle. We didn't miss a single lap. But
yeah,
like, well, something I learned. I cheaped out on a fuel rail, and that was a mistake.
Yeah,
because that fuel rail popped up and was squirting fuel straight on my header.
Man, fire is the only thing that really scares me about any kind of motorsport.
Yeah,
I don't even get worried about wrecks or any kind of contact, but just fire.
It's a scary element. I really like, for the cost of a full fire suppression system. I was looking at them the other day. I got to put a new one in the Ute. It's expired. But I was looking at them like I think the cheapest one I found was like $530.
They're not terrible.
That's a set of tires.
Yeah.
For a set of tires, you can have a full fire suppression system in your car. That is a nozzle. That is a nozzle on you and your passenger. That is 2 nozzles in your engine bay and an extra nozzle to put where you think is most likely. I recommend the fuel cell or fuel area. But it's not a lot of money.
No,
like when you really break down what we spend on just a normal drift car, like just a street car that you drift on occasion, like that's one event's worth of tires in a Miata.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no
like,
kidding.
The fire suppression is something I think nobody really considers until you go into something like ProAm.
Yeah.
And then, like, you get to looking at it, and like I get it. It's money you could spend on tires, and we're all poor. But sometimes, like, is it really worth the risk?
Yeah.
Like, because you can pull that pin and whatever, like, they're really effective.
Yeah.
They're really effective. In whatever it is, you can save your whole motor, your whole car, your whole wiring harness, your interior. Like,
well, and it's not like there's 1,000 videos out there of some guy that didn't have one that's oil line popped off or fuel line popped off, sprayed his header, and he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off trying to get somebody to come help him put his car out.
at a minimum, you can go to the Home Depot.
Yeah.
And you can, I think the last one I bought was 20-ish bucks.
Yeah.
And they come with a mount and everything, and you can just have a normal fire extinguisher in there.
It's funny. So, being a business here, I have to have fire extinguishers here.
Yeah.
And I have to have a service come out and recertify them every so often, make sure they're tagged and all of that stuff.
I recently got certified to do that, by the way.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, the guys that do it here in Murfreesboro came by, and they're a new business, and we actually wrapped their van for them.
Oh, nice.
And so we traded out a certification. But he was like, I've got these sweet little 5-pounders. The ones you get at Walmart's a 2-pounder.
2.5, yeah.
And it ain't gonna do much. You better be on top of things with it. I've got these sweet little 5-pounders that are $50 that will put out a fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I told him, give me 5 of them, and I'm gonna just take them to the events and sit them on the front table if anybody needs to buy one. I mean, you have them for what I got in them. They're $50.
Yeah.
But you're an idiot if you don't have one.
You should have something in your car.
Absolutely.
Let's say that you have a stock car.
Mm-hmm.
How many tire fires have we seen on stock cars?
Oh yeah, it happens.
Like, it's just
there's plenty of videos out there.
Or you could be a hero and save your buddy's car.
Yeah.
That's almost better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have any of the damage, but you got to save your buddy's car.
Yeah, I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, but I don't. There's a couple of different things. We do a lot of tech.
Mm-hmm.
You and I.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the seatbelt arrangements are very questionable.
Oh man.
Everybody's got a friend with a welder. Like,
everybody.
you can build something better than
who
what you're
cares
doing.
what the angle of that little bracket is, and who cares, if it might cut the belt, or who cares if your harness bar is way down below your shoulders? What's the big deal? Golly, it's amazing. I've seen some crazy things.
Yeah. Like, just, I don't know, guys.
Do a little research.
Here's the other thing, too. If you do it right and you're more comfortable in the car, you're going to be a much better driver.
Oh, 100%.
If you take the time.
If you're moving around in the seat and having to hold yourself in place, you're not driving the car.
No.
Yeah, that translates to any kind of racing.
That's
100%.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. Take a little time with your builds, boys. And listen, I am the worst. You've seen. Do you remember the banana?
Oh,
my yellow.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I
forgot about that car.
Absolutely one of the worst about bringing out just the worst vehicle on the planet. But I can tell you the banana had a fire extinguisher in it.
Nice. That's awesome.
But I'm the worst. But learn from my mistakes. I had to spend a whole year off because I didn't take care of my cars. Take care of them.
Well, listen, Mr. Andrew, we've got 5 minutes here or so. It's been a great night. Tell me about some sponsors, these people that are helping you with this new endeavor into actually full-time pro driving and spotting and all of that good stuff. Who's helping you out?
Well, pro is a relative term, but
hey, man, if you're driving and you might be getting paid, you're a pro driver.
Yeah, right. I get it. So I have gotten extremely lucky. As most people know, I'm driving the Ute this year. That is provided to me by Kelly Messerschmidt and the other guys racing. They're huge support. I have caused several incidents. There's been several incidents of damage already just in testing in the car. And, they razz me a little bit, but are like, all right, we'll take care of it.
Nice.
Like, their support is super valuable. It's always Race Treads. Race Treads is looking for new drivers, and I can tell you my program wouldn't have happened this year. It wouldn't have happened last year without their support.
Nice.
They really are behind us. If you're looking for a tire supplier to back you, you should strongly reach out to them. Fortune Auto Coilovers on the Z. They don't make anything for the Ute. I wish they did, because if they did make something for the Ute, it would already be on there. and it would be the best. We also, I'm super excited. Because you've seen my new wrap. Tick is my title sponsor this year.
That's cool.
They're
Tick Performance, right?
Yeah, Tick Performance.
That's
They're
cool.
They are a major player in the performance industry. They have been building the fastest, baddest drag cars on the planet for years now. And they are now, really working on supporting us. And they're a great partner to have. I love Matt and all the guys over there. They're brilliant engineering minds. If you haven't seen their new steering wheel, it's got buttons on it and infinite no clock spring. You can turn it as much as you want.
No kidding.
Yeah, I've been thinking about ways to cheat and drifting with that.
That's true.
Yeah, it's sick. And they have a whole plethora of stuff: clutches, transmissions, engine components, specialized in LS because that's God's motor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then later in the year, we've got a good deal that we're working with Elderbrock. They're coming on and providing us support.
That's cool.
And which is just crazy to say that like companies like Tick and Elderbrock are backing me.
Yeah.
Koenig's backing me. Like I've got some big name companies that are on board with me. And it's been years in the making to build and develop these partnerships.
Sure.
Some of my contacts have helped me.
Yeah.
Just
it don't happen overnight. I know that.
And my mama's helping a lot.
Nice.
Like
nice.
my mom was helping a lot. She's always got my back, and just my whole family.
That's killer.
So I'm a Renegade Racing, providing all my tuning.
Yep.
This is a problem. I've gotten so much support now that I almost have to have a list all the time
I'm guarantee it.
because they do so much. Every single one of my sponsors does so much for me, and really, if any one of them decided they didn't want to back me, my program would take a huge hit. But there's so many of them now that I'm
You're gonna have to get your driver's suit and have them all right here, where you can just
look
read
down.
Go
Yeah,
down the list and make sure you get everybody.
I've got good personal relationships with all of them.
Nice.
All of them.
Good.
I consider them friends, but sometimes they get lost in the sauce.
I feel you. That can happen really easily. Move that car over a little bit.
Oh man,
I think we're gonna shut things down in a big way here. See if I can do this without driving it off the edge of the table.
you got it. I believe in you.
Oh yeah, come on, baby. We're gonna do some donuts as we close.
Sign up for
everything
NCM.
out. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, donuts, baby. Before I back it off the table.
Watch the paint, bro.
It doesn't have reverse. Turn it around for me.
Oh, I got you, man. You want it right there?
Yeah, that's good. Just so we can do some donuts. See, check that out. 2 donuts right on the big table, baby. Get Slydewayz with Barry Clapp. We've had a great night tonight. I appreciate you guys joining in. I'm trying to do this without this thing falling off the edge of the table, but
I got you.
What a catch. Just like in the real car, ladies and gentlemen, there it is.
Just a wheel over. It's still good.
That's awesome. I appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Andy, it's been great. We've talked. We've had a good time. Check that baby out. That's awesome. Let's see y'all do that. That's it for tonight. We had a great night. Be sure and sign up for the event March the 1st at NCM. You don't want to miss it, and don't worry about your dang mufflers. Just get signed up and come out there and play with us, okay? Andy, you got anything else, my brother?
No, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been really good time coming out here. We've been trying to schedule this for almost a year.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
So I'm glad we finally got to do it. I've had a great time.
Me too.
And I can't wait to see everybody March 1st.
Yeah, and we'll do it again, my friend. It's been a good time. Get Slydewayz with Barry Clapp. We'll see you next week.